Everybody, Kellen, Kash, Coleman here, your certified social worker advisor, your consultant, your PR artist, your PR guy, your strategist, your sports agent, especially here in the state of Florida, licensed and everything. Someone who works weekly with individuals and organizations, churches, medical professionals, entrepreneurs with serious business and people who want to take it to the next level and helping folks navigate policy, technology, and systematic change. Now, I'm telling you this because a lot is changing right now, and most people, they don't know what to do. They don't know who to blame, and depending on where you watch the news, that's where you get confused. So I'm here so we can stop the blame game, talk about some of the, why things are changing, and know that we can only focus on the rules that the game of Monopoly has for us, right? So let me tell you what's happening in the Affordable Care Act. And then I'm also going to go into the social worker field because I'm like 2 weeks into doing a master's in social work that really I've been working in social work for almost a decade prior to me doing my business. And I've been doing my decade for 2 decades, and I was working in social work in there. So I've done, the clinician work. I've been a supervisor of a step down program, and I want to get more people to consider social work and also show that I don't think you have to be broke to do social work, but you also have to know how money works. And that's what this whole this channel is, and Diversified Game, my podcast, is also about, and why I interview people. Say, how do you interview so many millionaires in a week? And I said, well, I do a certain amount of interviews in a week, but it's not how to get to a million and then how to keep a million. These are lessons and things I really want to teach. But let me stay focused because my ADHD can be in remission at times. And the Affordable Care Act is what I just want to touch on. And because it's expanded and it's reduced barriers to some, and the knowledge, because most of you aren't going to read through this and say, what does this mean? What is Medicaid expansion? Why does that matter? Why does insurance marketplaces matter? Why do subsidies matter? And so they didn't really make it clear for everybody, and I want to make sure everybody has a good reach with my limited understanding. In no way am I an expert in this. I've interned for Congress people and other politicians, and I can tell you, they don't even read these bills sometimes when going into voting. They get briefed by chief of staff and interns, and you do your best. But between the subsidies and keeping the premiums and what's going to be affordable and expired, I'd really recommend you get with an expert, you hire an expert. And if you can't hire an expert, put that in the description box and let's see where locally we could maybe help you, or maybe it's a whole nother video, because people who are paying like $80 a month are now going to be paying $700 a month. And these are people who might be making between $40,000 and $90,000. And when you're making $40,000 and $90,000, that's not like your take home. And that can be a tight squeeze on you. For $700 a month, some people have student loan payments for that, or even less, that they can't pay, or they struggle between eating and paying that bill. But I'll tell you, keep paying that bill and it will go away. I'm a testimony of that. During the pandemic, was able to sacrifice and knock that out, and I thank God for it. People paying $300, they might go to pay $500. I think I saw one thing, somebody might be paying $2,500, which probably means they're going to drop, right? Some families are watching coverage triple overnight. That's not a lifestyle adjustment. That's a crisis, is what I'm trying to say. At the same time, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, it's hard to say, huh? The Big Beautiful Bill, and people are going to pay more. It was passed because they want to cut waste. And, whether it was Doge or different people, there was waste, and everybody knows there was waste. And you know what? When you're making change of anything, even when you stop eating sugar, like I did, thank you, Miracle Berry, thank God, it's going to cost. And people, it's not going to be comfortable, but we were in a crisis, and some people are watching what happened in Minnesota, and the jury is still out. How much fraud was going on in Minnesota and other places. Something had to change, and this is the government's best. And governments are not perfect, but you got to remember, these are the people we voted in. So if you guys voted for, this administration or your Congress or your governor, when they make a move, if you don't like it, you need to let somebody know and then try to make a change, right? Because we know a lot of people are going to get kicked off SNAP. And that means fewer people qualify at the end of the day. And that more hoops, and it's more work requirements and more paperwork and more confusion for a lot of people who can't read past a 6th grade level. Look that up, and that's where I want to come in and try to be a barrier and give some clarification for folks who say, I don't know what they're talking about. And I don't want you to be embarrassed. I want you to reach out. I want you, not everybody is destitute. Some people just have to stop buying luxuries, getting haircuts and hair done, and they have to invest in mentorship and coaching and their education, right? And we're here to help at CPRFIRM.com. Links are in the description. But when healthcare becomes harder to access, we know it doesn't disappear. You do not get sick or unwell. It shifts, and people stop doing their preventative care. They delay treatment. They, try to ration their medication and say, do I really need to take my statin? And you do. Because if your cholesterol is a little high like mine, you can reverse it. But what are you eating and what are you doing? And sometimes it is hereditary. And I am no doctor. I'm just married to medicine. And my medical team, they let me know, hey, it could be hereditary, and that's for me. But until it becomes emergency, a lot of people, and especially us men, we don't make a move. That emergency just doesn't happen when you're, expected. It happens at the least expected time. And that's why it's good to have preventative care, because you can be like, hey, this is high, that is high. It happens when you're at work, at night, when you're under stress, when you're in a crisis trying to get the kids to school or from school or about to get them. How scary is that your kids don't have someone to pick up? And again, I've had, people and neighbors die right on their front yard. And it was like, ooh, could that be prevented? And a lot of times, it could. And that's where social workers come in. And that's why this field of social work, and, I'm doing this series, and you can look in the playlist, why, if you think, I could do social work, it's time to get, let's go, because we're in a 2 million nurse shortage, and we need more social workers. We need more men who are social workers. We need more black men who are social workers. We need more bilingual in various languages. This country, because, you can speak whatever language you want, because nobody wants to say this out loud because they don't want to have you scared, but I got to say it. Because social workers are being asked to absorb the consequences of all these policy decisions that they didn't make, and probably that they didn't vote for. And when systems shrink, the pressure, again, doesn't disappear. It doesn't. If anything, this thing is going to compound, and caseloads grow, tensions rise, clients are more desperate, families are more afraid, and yet we treat all of this, and these threats and harassments and these unsafe conditions as part of the job for social workers and nurses and doctors. I've had to go inside, the Klan and skinheads, rural houses at times. And it's like, it's not fun, and it's not scary. And when the sheriff won't come out, it's dangerous. And so, we would never say to a nurse, hey, getting assaulted is normal, but I can tell you, it is more normalized than you know, especially if you don't live with a nurse or know a nurse. Go ask your auntie, the nurse. And we would never say to a fighter fire, risk without protection is unacceptable. We wouldn't have them go out without their gear. But in social work, they normalize it. You normalize it. We normalize it. We normalize the harm because it's emotional and not always visible. And complaining a lot of times won't get you anywhere. So, how that connects back to policy. When Medicaid is cut, social workers explain why. Do you get that? When the policy is cut, the social worker has to explain why you don't qualify and why, you need to jump on this now. When subsidies expire, social workers deliver the news. When benefits are denied, social workers manage the fallout. Especially in the hospital. It's not the nurse or the doctor's job. Social workers, we become the human buffer between policy and pain at the most unexpected, uncomfortable times. And the system relies on it. If you don't have that, could you imagine your doctor and nurse who are already stressed out? Who's going to do it? The janitor? But the janitor, in my true eyes, could become the social worker. I've met some very compassionate, smart janitors while working in the hospital. Shout out to Contra Costa Medical in Martinez, California, where I put in the work. Man, shout out, to Mr. Darrell and who hired me and Angela who kept me and the whole team there. It was a beautiful time. But let me go back and talk about rural communities, how this impacts them, where there's no backup system. Like I was telling you, sheriff can't come out. He's busy, right? There's no extra provider. There's no nearby hospital, no overflow clinic. Distance becomes a barrier. Transportation becomes a barrier. Internet becomes a barrier. So when telehealth gets restricted or coverage tightens, rural clients, they fall first. They fail first. And guess who has to explain that? Social workers. So here is something else that's changing. Work requirements are being added to Medicaid and SNAP. Now, I want you to get past the people like on TikTok, I ain't never working and I'm playing the game. Those people are going to suffer and you're never going to hear from them again. But work requirements are being added to Medicaid and SNAP, not because they increase employment. The data shows they don't. Not because they reduce enrollment. That's not workforce development. That's exclusion by design. And when families lose coverage, children lose coverage. When caregivers are uninsured, kids miss preventative care. This is not accidental, y'all. Now let me address the question people keep asking. Healthcare isn't cheap, so who's going to pay for it? That question matters, but it's incomplete. And it's incomplete because the real questions, are we willing to pay for it? Are what we are doing with these tax dollars, are we willing to let those stop and fail? We never ask if we can afford aircraft carriers, but most of us don't know that aircraft carriers, what part of our money is being built, this invisible money. We never ask if we can afford bombs. We never ask if we can afford expansion of defense contracts. But I promise you, if you got a defense contract, you wouldn't care either because you could afford it. I promise you. Look at sam.gov. But when it comes to healthcare, suddenly it's too expensive. And usually it's because it's for the next guy or the lady or her kids or the person who we feel doesn't have as much value or didn't work as hard. Those are value decision. From a social worker perspective, we know delayed care costs more because it's just like not getting your car maintenance. If your body's not maintenance, emergency care costs more. Just like if your car got stopped on the freeway, you'd rather it get stopped on, this main street and somebody could push. No one's stopping on the freeway because it's unsafe. We know incarceration costs more. Crisis intervention costs more. Prevention is cheaper. But as the old saying says, the bridge has to fall a lot of times before we help somebody else. And this hits personally because I have a friend who lived in his car for at least a year, if not more. And this is after, and he didn't do anything wrong. Probably was going through depression, his words, not mine. And until he was found on the street, he didn't have housing. He didn't even have 2 meals a day. And thank God the state of California, helped him and is helping him. That really hits. It really hits hard. I think somebody has to fall in the street before we help them in this rich country where Walmarts and the Publix and the Safeways and Albertsons stole away more food. Why can't we put that stuff in like a food cafe and, but have it be a restaurant and have it had dignity and take the food bank and take a thing out of Japan where they can just order on a kiosk and the belt of food can come deliver food. And even if we need dividers so people don't have shame, but I digress. I just think dignity is cheaper. I think access is cheaper, but those savings don't show up. Not for the people that need it most, and they show up later. And politicians, they don't like later, and those are the people that we voted in. And if you say, oh, I didn't vote in, and you're still the problem because you should go vote independent, go write in Daffy Duck or put my name in there. Put somebody's name in there. Put your name in there. Because when these burdens shift, it shifts to families that are already working too hard and can't afford it. It shifts to workers. And you know what? It shifts to social workers who are already understaffed in many places. That's why safety matters. Because when systems fail, violence increases, frustration increases, risk increases, and social workers stand in the middle. Now, we're trained to de-escalate, to document harm, to advocate, but we are not supposed to absorb injury as a cost of doing our job. It's not ethical. I'm not saying this to scare you, but I want you to think. Get off the nonsense on YouTube and learn something. I'm saying it to prepare you. Policy is changing, costs are shifting, and the people close to the pain will feel it first. That's why I'm sharing my journey publicly, because I want you to say, hey, I want to shift. And yes, we can help you in many ways, whether it's to help you get out of debt and make a plan. But that's why I'm sharing. So you can see what's happening, what's changing, and how to think about it clearly. And I'm sorry I don't have a delivery where I'm saying a whole bunch of, gossip and tea to keep people going. But I'm not here to entertain right now. I'm here to educate. I'm here to have you thinking clearly about what's the next step in your journey, because every journey looks different. But they all require the same thing. Don't get it twisted. Awareness, consistency, and courage. If you're watching this, tell me what you want to understand next. Put it in the comments. Is it health policy, social work safety, student loans, rural access, technology barriers, AI? We could talk about a whole bunch of things because silence doesn't protect us. Understanding does. I'm Kellen Kash Coleman. I want you to like it. I want you to share it. And most importantly, 2, if you can subscribe while you share, because we're not done. But when you put that like, it helps the algorithm. When you subscribe, it lets people know, okay, somebody really wants to hear the next words that this person's saying. And again, this is no fluff. I'm listening to music right now while I'm talking to you, but, I'm just out here doing my thing, chilling. And I want you to make sure you can do your thing your way. Show up as you are. You guys, share this game with somebody. Check us out on Diversified Game, MillionaireX.ai. Y'all be blessed, all right?
You've tried it your way, but you're still in debt. Or maybe you're doing okay but want to invest smarter, grow faster. MillionaireX.ai gives you real step-by-step strategies to ditch debt or stack wealth. Stop dreaming and start planning. Visit MillionaireX.ai today. I want you to be the next millionaire next door.
Ready to dominate your industry with strategy that actually scales? At Coleman Public Relations and Consulting Firm, we're not just PR experts, we're licensed sports agents certified in AI and elite business consultants with over 2 decades of experience leading global projects across multiple countries. Visit CPRFIRM.com, that's ColemanPRFIRM.com, and MillionaireX.ai. Then download the Millionaire X app, your AI powered guide to getting out of debt, investing smarter, and building generational wealth. Coleman Public Relations and Consulting Firm. It's a family business, it's different.
Are you tired of the rat race in America? Are you ready to visit the motherland to relax and rejuvenate? Are you ready to explore all that Africa has to offer? Then check out the brand new Diversified Game Academy course, Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Are you worried about being able to afford the trip? We got you. We will show you how to travel either on a budget or as a baller. Learn how to stretch the value of the USD. Did you know that 100 United States dollars is worth over 1,000 South African rand, or 10,000 Kenyan shillings, or 54,250 West African CFA? Are you worried about taking your kids? Get the game from Kellen, Kash, a bona fide world traveler, having traveled to almost 20 countries, several of those in Africa. Get the game on taking your kids on their first trips. Learn how to find the best tickets, get the visas, and plan your own adventures in Africa. Don't let Eddie Murphy have all the fun. Plan your own coming to Africa trip starring you, produced by you, and featuring you. If you are ready for a life-changing experience, sign up for our course today, Diversified Game Academy. Get prepared and purchase at diversifiedgame.com.
Hello everyone. Come along with London and Sydney as they show you around the vibrant country of Cameroon. We explore the heart of Africa through the eyes of London and Sydney. Two explorers who journey across the great city of Yaoundé, exploring its rich culture, vibrant market squares, cultural heritage, and wildlife. With giggles and excitement, London and Sydney Explore Cameroon takes you on a fun-filled adventure, providing insight into the country's culture and traditions through the pages of this book. It's packed with exciting stories and super cool facts about Cameroon that will make you go, wow. Get your copy now. Available on Amazon and in libraries near you. There's only one easy way to experience the exploration of Cameroon, and it's through London and Sydney. Don't wait, get yours!